Kyle Kittleson here, joined with the incredible Dr. Ramani. Thank you for
Kyle.
being here. We just finished filming a series on mental health struggles, implications that are often faced by the LGBTQ community, and what their supporters can do to kind of help them along the way. And you brought up something before we started to film this video that I can't wait to get into, but to start our conversation, I want to share a story with you guys, our viewers, and Dr. Ramani. I've never shared this with you. Earlier in the year, myself and our producer were flying to New York to film, and we had a long layover. And during that layover, we met another couple. And we started talking to this couple, and they asked about if I was in a relationship or something, and it came out that I was gay. And their next question was, so when were you molested? And I said, I've never been molested. And then, so you want to be a girl? And I said, no, I don't even know what that would feel like or what that would mean, but I'm happy where I am. And I was very taken back because these people seemed, educated people who were we were having a normal conversation until it turned into this very bizarre conversation. And it caught me off guard because I think I'm pretty sheltered living here in California, where it's pretty normal to be gay and be out, and they were coming from a place that's not normal and were asking these questions that for me made no sense, but for them were the logical next step. If you're gay, it's because you're molested, and if it's not because of that, it's because you secretly want to be a woman.
How did you respond?
I said I was never molested, and then I thought, what if I was molested? Then I'm going to have to say, yes, I was, and explain this to a stranger. I mean, it's just an inappropriate question on all fronts, like independent of that.
So did you just walk away from the conversation and just...
No, I said I'm not molested. I don't feel like a woman. And then they were trying to have me go see somebody that they knew that they felt like I could help me. And I said, I'm really good. Thank you. And I just kind of ended the conversation, and then they did get up and leave. And I think I was just so shocked. I didn't know how to respond, and maybe that was the right way, maybe it was the wrong way, I don't know. But my producer also said, Kyle, I didn't know what to do. Like, half of me wanted to go, are you stupid? And the other half of me is thinking, maybe I'll just sit here and be quiet.
The disrespect and the insensitivity and the ignorance in that story, I mean, I would really think the only healthy response is to step away. Mm-hmm. But when I hear that, at that point, it is a trigger. Mm-hmm. It is an awakening of other hurts you've endured. And while you were there with your producer, you guys could process it, maybe even laugh it off a little bit. Mm-hmm. It hurts. Mm-hmm. I think anytime your existence is invalidated, it hurts.
You know what it did to me? And I didn't realize this until you just... See, she is such a good therapist. You get it out of me without even trying. I lost one of the most important people in my life because I was gay. They said to me, we're done.
Wow.
And that was devastating.
It's absolutely devastating.
It felt like I've mourned people I've loved who have died, and it felt like that.
Of course it did, because they're gone.
And so when I saw that from a couple that we were having fun, we were talking, I gave them a MedCircle membership because her sister had Alzheimer's, and I was like, watch this. We were going back and forth, and then this left turn, that's what I got. I go, ooh, I forgot. Mm-hmm. You can't always trust people because you might reveal your truth and they might not like it.
Yep, that's right. And I think that, what that story reminds me of when we're talking specifically about this issue of LGBTQ, the community, and mental health, is that, listen, most of us, we get up, we go through our days, regardless of what statuses we occupy in the world, race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender identity, any of it. And then something can happen during a day. Your story is a great example. And it hurts. And it's triggering. And listen, you could take the stance of, these people are ignorant, this isn't about me, this is about their ignorance, but hurt is hurt. Mm-hmm. And one thing I have to say as a therapist, and anyone who works with the group, in this case, we're talking about the LGBTQ community and people in that community, is that it's easy to forget the long struggle and the walk it took to get here. People don't ruminate every single day about their coming out experience. People don't live in the story of their trauma. It would just be too much. But when something like this happens, it triggers and activates those stories. And sometimes in therapy, like my client will say, I feel foolish. Why am I so triggered? And I'll say, again, the therapist in some ways is a holder of the story. I say, this is so reminiscent of the story you told me of your coming out, and it hurts just to hear you say it. And they'll say, I didn't even think of that. So it's amazing to me that, it's the dot connecting. Yes. And this is a big part of working with any group that has been put in a marginalized status in a culture, in this case, like I said, LGBTQ, that you forget. Because if you kept remembering, it would be too hard to get through the days. Yeah. And then that connecting those dots and saying, okay, now that makes more sense. And in some ways, it can disempower the situation and say, yep, this is an old hurt, and I can push through it. I pushed through that. I can push through this. But you got to remember to connect the dots. There is a longer story behind you, even if you needn't live in it all the time.
Right.
But at times that story gets stirred up again.
So it's almost as though the reaction to this event is really a reaction to all past events related to that.
And it also brings up those old things that you sort of, the mind and the soul are an attic, and some attics are more organized than others, but things are put away high up on shelves. You don't think about them as much, but it's up there, and it can get pulled out. And a story like that can evoke that. And then we have to, when working with clients, remind them, you know what, this is that old story.
Yeah.
This is that feeling on the outside. Yeah. That's that not feeling included, being rejected. Yes, in the name of ignorance, but there was a time it felt very different when you were a much younger person. So listen, we all have stories. We all have things happen to us. In the LGBTQ community, it's often that passage of time of knowing for sure, telling other people that you're coming out as queer, as trans, as lesbian, as gay, as bisexual. And it's that's a big moment. But like I said, people years later don't live in it. Somehow it'll get triggered. And there were many different responses. Listen, some people might have gotten angry at that moment. Right. Some people might have remained silent. Some people might have gotten very sad afterwards. All of those are reactions. We don't judge them. It's much more to connect the dots between past and present so you can better understand the impact of that moment.
I think some of the best therapists I've had are the ones that have really pushed me to make the connection.
Yes.
Even when I fought back on it.
Yes.
I go, I see what you're saying, but I don't think that's it. And they very calmly and patiently let me get there. But eventually I got there to connect the dots. And I was going to ask you why connecting the dots are important, but you gave me that answer, which is because if I got through it back then, I can get through it now. When I was probably 11 or 12, we got the internet. And so I think it was before then, but early days in the internet, I went on and I searched about gay statistics or something because I was trying to figure this out. I was trying to control it. And I read something that said, most gay men come out before the age of 26. So I'm 10 or 11 or whatever, and I'm thinking, all right, if I can make it till 26, then I'll be in the clear.
Wow.
Because I took that statistic as a little child as it'll go away. People come out because they still have it. And then once it goes away, they can live a normal life. And I remember counting down the years and going, when will I be 26? When will I be 26? Because 26 to me was this freedom date that I would not be plagued with hiding from the world. And that has even still been with me because I've spent so much of my formative years counting down the days until I could be myself.
Right.
And I don't know if that's what most kids count down.
Well, I think, listen, kids count down something. The day I'm going to drive, the day I'm going to move out, the day, whatever it's something. But this is very different. It was almost like the day I'm going to fit in.
Yeah. Yes. Right. That was it. That was it. This series that we filmed on LGBTQ and the challenges that they face and the mental health implication of those challenges has been incredibly inspiring to me, very emotional to me, and you have been so beautiful and wonderful in it. And I want to give our viewers a sneak peek of that series, so take a look at this.
When we really go back and think about diversity and multiculturalism, when we go back to early 60s, 50s, 40s, when we looked at diversity, when we looked at people who were not the normative group, when we looked at people who are marginalized, we looked at it through the lens of a deficit. We would look at, oh, people of color have lower IQs. We'd look at it as people who are gay or mentally ill. Instead of seeing it as, what are the pressures on this group? What are the resources this group is not given? Because that is the only way we can understand. Now, understanding that those pressures are on LGBTQ groups, that they face discrimination, stigma, prejudice, violence. Of course, that's going to manifest as higher rates of a range of mental illnesses, but it also then means that how do we have these conversations? What kinds of prevention do we look at? How do we identify these patterns? How do we contextualize their mental health issues and understand that in fact these seem like these are the responses we'd expect, and that we as a society need to take stock of what is the experience of these groups. And that also we see that there's a risk. But so it's really important that when we see that, it's not that there's something inherently wrong with those groups, it really reflects the pressures, traumas, stigmas that those groups have faced.
You can watch that entire series and more at MedCircle.com. In that series, Dr. Ramani, there was a reoccurring theme from you, and it was love your child, be empathic to those that you care about. And even if there's hangups on the supporter end or the parent end, do your best to make sure that that person sitting, standing, looking at you, across from you, knows that you still love them.
That's it.
And that's a simple statement, and it can be hard sometimes, but it's worth it.
Yes, and then if people could just learn to get out of their own way and just love, I'd kind of sort of be out of a job.
Yeah, wouldn't that be great?
That would be great.
We would make sure that you would be here at MedCircle doing something. You have a lot to give.
I'd bake cakes.
That's
Thank
right.
you.
Dr. Ramani, you're wonderful. Thank you for being here. You guys are wonderful too. If you have any comments, please leave them below. We review all of the comments and we appreciate your discussion. I'm Kyle Kittleson. Remember, whatever you're going through, you got this. Subscribe below, and remember, this video just scratched the surface. For more in-depth videos on mental health topics, go to medcircle.com and join for free.